Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. And just remember, we have these continuing workshops, Curious About COVID for non-members, Lose the COVID 25, and Health Lessons from COVID for members. And if you're a member of Wellness Forum Health, you also get to participate in a couple of Q&A sessions with me, live and interactive. And by the way, a lot of you ask questions that I'd love to be able to answer in an email, but it's just way too much typing. So the answers to your questions sometimes are in our library. You get access to that, or you can ask a question during Q&A when I can have a discussion with you about it, but I just don't have the time to do all that typing. Some of you know from corresponding with me, I'm not all that great of a typist either, right? And then our upcoming cancer boot camp, which is Friday night, July 16th, Saturday, July 17th, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, done by teleconference. We have limited spots on these to do it live. And so if you're thinking that you want to do it, we made it very inexpensive, $69 for members, $99 for non-members. And you want to get your reservation in because this is going to fill up. It is filling up, actually. I want to talk about something that might surprise you a little bit today. I'm often asked how this situation in which we find ourselves right now can be happening, like what brought this all on. So I'm going to talk about thyroid disease for just a little bit here. And you might be wondering, what the heck could this have to do with our current situation? Well, I think you'll find out at the end. I'll tie it all together for you. So some new analysis of Medicare data shows that only 8.4% of the people who are prescribed levothyroxine for hypothyroidism actually have hypothyroidism. You heard me right. It's 8.4%, which means that almost 92% of the time the drug is inappropriately prescribed. So the researchers in this particular study looked at over 110,000, actually almost 111,000 adults enrolled in Medicare Advantage who filled levothyroxine prescriptions between January of 2008 and December of 2018. Over 60% of the patients have been diagnosed with this made-up condition called subclinical hypothyroidism. There are articles about this in the Health Brace Library that I mentioned before, and 30.5% of them had normal thyroid markers, yet they were put on the drug anyway. Those numbers remained unchanged during the 10-year period, which means that drugging these people didn't help them much, even if you could justify doing it in the first place. The authors note that many studies have shown that there is no benefit for patients who are prescribed levothyroxine for subclinical hypothyroidism of any type. And this includes a 2018 meta-analysis of 21 randomized controlled trials. Additionally, the authors note that it is well known that levothyroxine causes side effects, including increased risk of cardiovascular disease, cardiac dysrhythmias, osteoporosis, and fractures. Additionally, patients have to see doctors regularly for blood tests, modify daily routines so that the drug can be taken on an empty stomach. And then, as if that's not enough, once you start taking levothyroxine, the longer you take it, the less likely you'll get off of it because you gradually disable thyroid function. Well, this is a great idea for the medical system, and it is certainly wonderful for drug companies like the company that makes levothyroxine. Well, at this point in time, just to give you an idea of how this translates to the general population, 7% of all humans in the United States are taking levothyroxine. The actual percentage of the population who have blood tests that indicate overt hypothyroidism is between 0.2% and 2%. In other words, millions of people have been and continue to be unnecessarily drugged. And we wonder why the medical system is so screwed up, and we wonder why our costs are so out of control. Well, when you take healthy people and you turn them into sick patients and you drug them, this is what happens, right? The authors suggest that several changes be made. The first one is labs need to change their reference ranges so that thyroid values up to and including 10 are considered normal. They write, quote, studies have shown that changing the thyrotropin reference range is associated with clinicians' prescribing patterns. Well, this is true. And playing around with these diagnostic parameters is one of the ways in which this type of thing happens, misprescribing or overprescribing, as the case is here. Over 20 years ago, the drug companies started influencing and actually got to the place where they were controlling and do control the development of diagnostic criteria for diseases. By gradually lowering the threshold for diagnosing illness, more and more people were diagnosed as sick, and larger doses of medication were needed to reach the new marker for normal. This was done with hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and also hypothyroidism. We should get the drug companies the heck out of this business in terms of establishing criteria for diagnosis, and return to older reference ranges and stop the disease mongering. Another suggested change involves teaching clinicians how to treat symptoms that have nothing to do with hypothyroidism. A growing list of symptoms causing various diseases is another way to disease monger. You get to the place where almost anything can cause anything. And I'll give you an example. There are entire websites set up to help people understand everybody has hypothyroidism. Hormonesbalance.com. They list symptoms including acne, lack of motivation, difficulty expressing yourself, anxiety, feeling socially distant, hypoglycemia, and the mythical condition referred to as brain fog as symptoms that your thyroid is sluggish. The National Academy of Hypothyroidism lists 223 symptoms of hypothyroidism. And I'm just going to give you a couple here, just to give you a flavor. Craving carbohydrates, abdominal discomfort, hot flashes, slow speech, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, frequent urination, yawning, hearing loss, soreness after exercise, being fatigued, needing little sleep, unusual increase in energy, feeling the need to exercise more than usual, plantar fasciitis, dull facial expression, calloused heels, staring, feeling elated or depressed, disorganized thinking, difficulty making decisions, anger, and aggressiveness. All symptoms of hypothyroidism. Well, we all qualify, don't we? So this is the way medicine has been practiced for a long time. I've been writing about this. I've been reporting this. I've been teaching our members about this for 26 years. Incompetence, overdiagnosis, overprescribing, malpractice, bad judgment, common and getting worse until we find ourselves here, which is why last March, I knew immediately something wasn't quite right because I cover this type of stuff all the time. So that is the connection between overprescribing of levothyroxine and right now, because for decades it's been going in this direction. Nobody's been able to stop it. Maybe we just had to blow this whole thing up and have an episode like this in order to actually look at the problems associated with our medical system, and they're significant. This is just a tiny little microcosm of what goes on every day in doctors' offices all over the country, all over the world actually, but mostly here. All right, tomorrow, make sure that you watch my video. If you're not getting these 4 days a week through email and you're not getting my newsletter, my email address is pampropper@msn.com. Keep those inquiries about careers coming my way. I mean, we love to talk to you about that. But if you're not getting them every day, send me an email so we can get you on the subscriber list. I have interviewed Peter Breggin, the incredible psychiatrist, psychiatric reformer, business partner, colleague, very good friend. His wife is also a very good friend, and they have written a stunning, incredible, revealing new book called The Global Predators and We Are the Prey. And we're going to talk about that. It's an hour interview, and I promise you'll learn a lot. He does most of the talking. You listen to me all the time. I let him do most of the talking, and I learned a lot, even though I had already read the book. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, and do pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it. Tomorrow, the interview with Peter Breggin.